And now, coming to you virtually from the Largo Theater in Los Angeles, please welcome a man who needs no introduction, but still makes us do it anyway because he likes to hear his name, Mr. Conan O'Brien.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please. Thank you. A little more. And that's good. Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special Children's Defense Fund, California's Beat the Odds Awards. I'm Conan O'Brien.
I told you he likes to hear his name.
Quiet! So why is tonight very special? Because we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Los Angeles Beat the Odds program. 30 years. Something lasting 30 years in Los Angeles is equal to 500 years anywhere else. That's right, Beat the Odds. You're the Taj Mahal of Los Angeles. Very cool. And of course, due to this pandemic, this year it's a virtual celebration. But look at the bright side. Now you don't have to wait 2 hours outside for the valet to get your car after the event. Remember that? That wasn't fun. Yeah, you can actually sit in your garage right now, watch this event in your car, and then drive nowhere. Yeah. So there are silver linings to the pandemic. Let's all remember that. But I do really miss being in a big banquet room with all of you, because I'll tell you, there's nothing like performing to a live crowd while they're eating. Yeah, happens every year. That's why I brought this along. I want to recreate what it's like, some of the magic of performing at this wonderful event every year as you're being served your food. Let's do it now. Okay, could I have your attention, please? Please, okay, no, I'm gonna try and start. Can everyone just settle down? Oh, you're getting your salads. Okay, no, I can wait. Are you choking, sir? Are you okay? You're all right? Oh no, now he's choking again. You get the idea. Again, there are silver linings. Well, tonight we are commemorating 30 years of creating hope and help for young Angelenos, regardless of race, gender, religion, or the nationality of their parents. 30 years of helping people from the most neglected communities triumph with Beat the Odds. Scholarships, internships, leadership training, and a support system that, with our recommitment here tonight, will be available for them for the next 30 years. We'll be uplifting and celebrating the over 200 past and current Beat the Odds program participants and their amazing accomplishments. Over 85% of CDF California Beat the Odds participants have received an undergraduate degree or pursued a career through technical education and have succeeded in so many different fields. They are engineers, doctors, nurses, artists, lawyers, educators, social workers, storytellers, and business owners who are now giving back to their communities and raising successful, happy families with children of their own. In fact, we'll be hearing from a number of the Beat the Odds alumni tonight, and I can't wait. It is my favorite part of the show. These young people are the reason the Beat the Odds program has become so important to me and my family. My wife, Liza, and I have been attending these awards since 2010, as have our young children, so they could see firsthand what is possible when you work hard and believe in yourself. And we've tried to help Beat the Odds in other ways. Liza has led essay writing and storytelling workshops, and I've been happy to host Career Day so these young people can learn firsthand why you should never go into late night television. And they haven't. They saw the horror of what I do, and they made the right call. Yeah. And through it all, Liza and I have been continuously surprised and blown away by the staggering obstacles these students have overcome and the incredible success they've achieved. They are truly an inspiration and deserve to be celebrated. So thank you all very much and enjoy the awards.
Hi Hi, my name is Ana Sotomayor.
My name is Elizabeth Lopez.
My name is Randolph Burleson, Jr.
My name is Dennis Dimon. I'm a member of the CDF Beat the Odds class of 2007.
I am a member of the
Children's Defense Fund,
Beat the Odds,
class of 2011,
Class of 2012. Class of 2018.
class of 2002,
Class of 2008.
2014.
My name is Marino Angulo, and I'm a member of the inaugural CDF Beat the Odds class of 1991.
I would like to sincerely give my gratitude to Mrs. Marian Wright Edelman for making me feel like I was the most important person in the room whenever I spoke to you.
I want to thank Mrs. Edelman for believing in the success of children like me, for giving me hope when I thought I had nothing to strive for.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Edelman, for creating this incredible vision that have helped so many young people like myself.
I am eternally grateful for your belief in a little girl and her big dreams.
Thank you for seeing the good that we can do, no matter where we came from or no matter where we started.
To know that they can succeed no matter their circumstances.
For what it's worth, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Marian Wright Edelman.
I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
I want to say thank you to Miss Edelman for being a beacon of light and a hope to so many children.
Thank you, Mrs. Edelman, for providing the guidance and support I needed in order to drastically change my life for the better.
I genuinely and truly appreciate the impact, not only that you've made on my life, but the millions of youth that you've impacted.
Congratulations on 30 amazing years.
Well, I'd like to thank Miss Edelman for believing in me when nobody else would. She showed me the value of helping myself out first so that I can help out my family.
I wish the senators would have a chance to go and just look at the empty cupboards in the Delta and the number of people who are going around begging just to feed their children. And starvation is a major, major problem now. I was called to testify in Washington. I asked if they would come and see what was really going on, which was starvation and malnutrition and an attempt to make people leave the state if they were poor and black. And the committee, to my surprise, came. But Robert Kennedy came with them, and he brought the press for the first time.
I think, of course, Mr. Chairman, that this is a reflection on all of us. It was the country of 1967 and the most prosperous country in the world. We would think that all of us would be able to provide for some of our citizens living in this part of the country.
The Children's Defense Fund is the grandchild of the Poor People's Campaign that Dr. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy started before they were assassinated, and I was blessed to be the policy director for that Poor People's Campaign to continue the work and the dream and the vision of Dr. King to end poverty in America.
I first heard of Marian back in 1960 when she was a student in Atlanta. And people would say, ask Marian, get in touch with Marian. She emerged as a leader, brave, courageous, just smart, real smart. She wanted to do something not just about civil rights, but about children, all children.
And the first law that we were able to lead and get enacted in the Congress was the Educational Handicapped Children's Act. We've got millions and millions of children who have health care, and CDF has played a very key role in that. We've got early education investments and Head Start investments that have grown over the years. We've got after-school investments that have grown over the years. We've been able to make some cracks in decreasing child poverty, but one of the things we never do is we never give up. And I'm always reminding myself of Dr. King when he said that you must keep moving forward, that if you can't fly, you gotta drive. If you can't drive, you gotta run. If you can't run, you gotta walk. And if you can't walk, you gotta crawl. We are not going to go backwards, we're gonna go forward and finish the job of the civil rights movement.
I don't know what a country would be like without the Children's Defense Fund. If Martin Luther King Jr. could come back and see what Marian Wright Edelman is doing, he would be very proud.
And so I think this is another one of those defining times that offers all of us the opportunity to stand up, fight back, and to form that next movement to end poverty, to create jobs, to make sure that every child is educated.
Children need this sense of hope, this sense of, yes, I too can make a contribution. Yes, I am somebody, and I'm going to do my best.
This is the time for all of us to put aside all of our organizational stuff, to put aside all of our political stuff, and to figure out how we're going to come together to pass on a better country for our children than we inherited.
This evening, we want to recognize a truly extraordinary couple, Avis and Mark Ridley Thomas. Together, they personify strength, and individually, they both put their hearts on the line when it comes to their community. Mark, given his position, does so in a very public way, and Avis makes her moves quietly, but they are just as impactful when it comes to improving the lives of children and families. You all have been friends for decades. So I'm interested in how did you all come together to really advocate on behalf of LA County youth?
Did some research, and at the time, and still, I'm very concerned about the youth that are involved in the system, both foster care and in the probation system. And it was particularly bad for those boys. And someone told me that he was the most effective politician west of the Mississippi. I don't know who he thought was east of the Mississippi, but he was west. If you wanted to get anything done, you needed him. So I invited him to have breakfast with me at Homeboy Industry, and I socked it to him. I said, my husband and I will raise money, we will do everything, but you've got to save those boys in your district and other districts because they are not being treated well. And he worked for 12 years to do that.
Wow. Well, Avis, I know you have also been working really hard on behalf of our youth here in LA. You know, over the years, your work advocating for peace in the streets in Los Angeles. You've trained hundreds of community facilitators. You've brought community members, community leaders, and police together to address violence and serious other issues. You've established support centers, which we know we need more than ever today. And your work has really impacted so much of the communities in which our Beat the Odds scholars who we're talking with tonight, you know, live in. What has kept you motivated all these years?
Those young people, those and many, many, many others who clearly need help and support to do the best that they can in life and make a contribution to all of us. So we developed a game, and that game is now being promoted by the tech industry. They've asked us to establish a team, and they will support that team through software development of this game that we worked on to learn to code. That was the goal, teaching the young people to code. And this is the first time that the organization has gotten an offer from the tech community for that longer term support.
That's great. Well, I know it will be a wonderful opportunity for the young people that you're currently working with and your continued work in our communities to make sure that they have opportunities to thrive. Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas, you have played a lot of roles throughout your time here. You've been LA City Council member. You have been the California State Assembly member, the LA County Supervisor, and we are so lucky to have you again as an LA City Council member. As Carol said, you have been a champion of children and youth throughout your years in words and in action, and you've continuously supported CDF California through the Beat the Odds program and the Freedom Schools program. And you know, you've co-authored and authored a lot of bills and motions that have really impacted and really changed the tide specifically around justice-involved youth here in LA County. Really to push for a model and a focus on youth development. I think we have been so excited that you have really believed in that vision and that it can come to LA and that we can have that. What is your greatest hope after having been able to do that as a supervisor and now in your role as a council member?
Well, I can say that it is no exaggeration to suggest that CDF, more specifically the Freedom clearly was one of the strongest highlights of my tenure on the Board of Supervisors. It is in part where I fell in love with CDF. And I think I'm better for it. To see the impact, the levels of accountability, the scholars as they emerged, and as the young people who didn't think that they were interested in being teachers as a result of spending time at Haley, and the experience of the summer with those young scholars decided that they were going to pursue careers in education. It's just a marvelous thing to behold. And so the support that I have been able to lend was really an investment in what could be, what should be, what ought to be, and how we can then embrace the very ethos of the Children's Defense Fund, and to translate that in very, very meaningful ways. And so I frankly owe a great debt of gratitude to Carol for connecting me to CDF. I want to publicly thank you again. I'm better for it. Whatever work that I've done in the probation camps and introducing the Freedom School model into probation, whatever work I've done to support Beat the Odds, I feel like I'm better for it, and I'm profoundly appreciative. It is often thought that Marian Wright Edelman introduced me to Carol Biondi. Let the record reflect that it was Carol Biondi who introduced me to Marian Wright Edelman. And it was a long overdue introduction because of the number of people who Ms. Wright Edelman and I have known in common for many years, but we didn't know each other. But it took one determined, one committed New Yorker who found her way to Los Angeles and celebrates all the goodness that's resident herein to make that connection. And both Avis and I have enjoyed the depth of the relationship with the CDF family. It's very special. And I guess I would say that as a devotee of nonviolence and the philosophy of Martin Luther King Jr., it is the case that CDF, as the embodiment of nonviolence and the philosophy of nonviolence as applied to children, is the most authentic representation of the King tradition that I know anywhere in the nation. It gets it, it interprets it, it applies it. And so the efficacy of nonviolence being made resident in the lives of those young people so that they are resilient, so that they do affirm their own dignity and self-worth. That's ultimately what it's all about. And I am deeply grateful for being able to witness it. I recall it being at Haley at the training, and walked out into this huge tent. Marian said to me, "This is the future of the movement." There's about 1,000 trainers there from every college you can think of, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and all the historically black colleges. Even a few UC students were there trying to get a little bit of it. And she said, "This is it." And I had never witnessed anything like that in the contemporary context. That's what makes it so special. That's what makes it so real. And that has to be preserved. The uniqueness of it has to be preserved as it drives forward a new generation of those who believe that we can, to borrow a phrase from Dr. King, redeem the soul of America. And I feel very strongly that redemption has to be the order of the day.
Thank you so much for your witness to our work, for being, both of you, servant leaders. Servant leaders to CDF, to the children of LA, the children of the state in your work each and every day. And I know Carol loves getting into good trouble with the two of you, and will continue until we reach that pinnacle. So we are honored to present you with the first inaugural Child Advocate Award to Avis and Mark Ridley Thomas from the Children's Defense Fund, California. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for everything and more.
It is so wonderful to come together virtually this evening, especially given that we have not all been in the same room since 2018. We cannot be more grateful that so many of you have supported CDF California for 30 years, but also through one of the most difficult years in recent history. 2020 challenged us all and pushed us to reflect on where we are as a country and on what we are doing, or rather not doing, to live up to the values we proclaim to hold. As an organization that was born out of the civil rights movement and has been focused on racial justice, we weren't called to pivot, but in fact to double down on the work we have done for decades across the country and here in California. The work to ensure that children, especially marginalized children, are protected from the juvenile injustice system, given equitable and high-quality opportunities to learn, provided nutrition, housing, healthcare, and what brought us here together tonight, that they are celebrated for all they have accomplished despite the many systemic barriers that have been placed on them, their families, and their communities. So as we look back at the impact of the Beat the Odds program, I wanted to take a moment to also reflect on our policy advocacy. In 1998, California had one of the highest rates of uninsured children in the country. By 2018, CDF California, along with the Children's Health Coalition, had fought hard for the state to reach almost 97% of all children being covered. And although prior to the pandemic, we had a resurgence of almost 300,000 uninsured children, we will continue to work to make sure all children have access to quality health care. In the fight to end child poverty, we fought to strengthen social safety net programs and to end the abysmal stain of children living in deep poverty. This year, we supported the governor's push for the Golden State Stimulus, providing an extra $600 to our most vulnerable families during the pandemic. And we also were fortunate enough to provide direct cash to BTO and Freedom Schools families who needed support. CDF California leads the California Guaranteed Income Collaborative, which is building a movement for guaranteed income by supporting the implementation of projects as well as creating an infrastructure for a statewide program to get money in the hands of those who need it most. We have mobilized to hold school districts accountable, to allocate their resources equitably, and to those students with the highest needs. During the pandemic, we continue our work to build power with parents and students, especially now to ensure that children have the resources, technology, and social and emotional support they need to learn during this time of pandemic schooling. In the fight for justice, our hearts broke with the rest of the world as we watched George Floyd murdered, joining the unconscionable number of Black men and women who have died during encounters with law enforcement. It is why we have fought for years along system-impacted individuals to reduce youth contact with police, to create pre-arrest diversion in LA County, to push for trauma-informed and healing-centered practices, and to ultimately close youth prisons and reinvest those dollars into community-based youth development programs, and for the removal of all LA County youth from the jurisdiction of the probation department, and why today we are working around the clock to ensure the just closure of our State Division of Juvenile Justice, California's state-run youth prison system. There's more work to be done, and we don't do it alone. But we know when we prioritize children and join forces with communities, we can achieve our vision of California being the state of not just golden opportunity for all, but for children to grow up, play safely, and thrive. I know each of you hold that vision in your heart as well. And in the simple but most prophetic words of our founder, thank you for standing up for children. Before I step away, I want to give a special thanks to CDF board members and co-chairs of this event. Angela Glover-Blackwell, LaFonza Butler, Journey Smollett, and especially Carol Biondi and Ruth Ann Huvain for all their time, efforts, and resources they have given to this program and our Beat the Odds youth for more than 2 decades. I also want to acknowledge a few other child advocates who have also been major supporters of the work of Children's Defense Fund California. Cindy and Alan Horn, Kevin Huvain, Johnny Carson Foundation, Agatha and Steve Lusso, Liza and Conan O'Brien, Amgen Inc., Annenberg Foundation, Dr. James and Karen Hobbs, Wendy and Barry Meyer, Avis and Mark Ridley Thomas, Nadine Schiff Rosen, and Fred Rosen. CDF is fortunate to have donors who have continued to support us year after year, as well as those who are new to the fold. We acknowledge you and value your commitment to children for the last 30 years, and I hope you'll recommit tonight.
Some of the struggles I faced as a young person was being bullied a lot as a kid because I did not have my biological parents in my life, and I also faced issues with my foster family.
I grew up in a very poor home, severely financially limited. My mother remarried, and that man was not a good person. He caused a lot of pain and suffering to me and my mother. There was drug abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, all of it.
One of the main obstacles or struggles that I faced while growing up was being raised in extreme poverty.
One of the biggest struggles I had growing up was financial hardship.
As a young person, my biggest struggles were in-home violence, caring for my siblings while balancing my academics.
Some of the challenges that I faced navigating life as a young person included financial poverty, as well as being a hearing child of 2 deaf adults in a society that is unaccommodating towards people of diverse bodies and abilities.
I mean, I faced struggles from homelessness all the way to gun violence, seeing some of my friends fall victim to the prison system.
I went to the infamous Crenshaw High School, which I love and enjoy till this day. But at the time, it was a very underperforming school with very limited resources and very limited funding.
Growing up, it was not easy. From the situation of my father to growing up in abject circumstances.
Trying to handle a pretty difficult family dynamic.
My dad was an abusive alcoholic who abandoned us when I was very young, and my mother has epilepsy and has been living in Mexico since I was 7 years old. As a young child, I was manipulated in many ways, and one of them was believing that if I went to Mexico to visit my mother, that I would not be able to come back.
Since I arrived in the United States, I've struggled with my identity as an undocumented person. Living through an anti-immigrant presidential administration and witnessing the xenophobia towards myself and my community.
One of the things I struggled with the most growing up was having confidence.
Really, the biggest difficulty was the sense of self. Knowing who I was and having some confidence. And not just that, but like appreciating and loving myself.
I struggled with getting out of my shell and finding my voice. I didn't think that what I had to say or what I had to share mattered.
I would often get picked on by other kids and bullied because of my disability. And it resulted in me having low self-esteem and issues of self-doubt.
I think that one of the biggest challenges that I faced, especially right now with everything going on in the world, has been finding a community. And this is how the Children's Defense Fund and the BTO program has literally changed my life.
Got my first real college scholarship from this organization, and it was a big scholarship, okay? Go Bruins.
I would say that if it wasn't for CDF, I'm scared to even think about who I would have been.
Being in high school and having a space to go to workshops around financial literacy, around poetry, it went such a long way.
The Children's Defense Fund of California unlocked a passion I now have, which is to do all that I can to improve the lives of inner city children.
The Children's Defense Fund has played a huge part in why I changed my career path from psychology to social work.
I hope to work in the nonprofit sector in the future and support my community from the ground up.
Through the Children's Defense Fund of California, my parents have been able to work towards a path through citizenship, which we thought was never possible.
Some of the ways that CDF has helped me is by becoming the support I needed when I was growing up. As an adult now, I was finally able to see my mom after 10 years of not seeing her. And that has been one of my biggest accomplishments.
The impact that they've had in my life is very difficult to measure. It was knowing that you had a group of people who truly believed in you, that you could count on.
I played football at the University of Texas. I got to study abroad. I got to become a teacher's assistant. Currently, I am getting my master's degree in educational policy.
One of the things that I feel like CDF really instilled in me was having confidence and honestly preparing me for interviews and preparing me for the professional work setting.
I currently work in the telecom billboard industry in the legal department, and I'm very, very, very thankful to the CDF BTS program for all that they've done for me.
I now live in Salinas, California with my family, and also serve as Chief of Medicine for Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital.
I currently work in global facilities and project management for a major tech company. I can't really say the name of the company, but you can probably Google it.
I thank CDF California so much for giving me a supportive network and the financial means to be able to pursue my dreams and being able to provide healthcare to underserved communities, including the deaf community.
I'm currently a law firm administrator and I'm a mom. And it's my life mission to raise good, understanding, empathetic human beings.
We are a part of the CDF family, and we're happy to have you part of the family.
I don't think I will ever find the right words to say how grateful I am to be part of this program. The Children's Defense Fund has my whole heart.
Good evening. I'm honored to introduce the Frank Biondi Memorial Scholarship. My dear friend and fellow board member Carol Biondi and her beloved husband Frank shared decades of friendship with Marian Wright Edelman, the founder and president emerita of the Children's Defense Fund. Carol and Frank began their involvement with CDF in the late 1980s with a deep understanding of the significant work that needed to be done for the safety and well-being of America's most vulnerable children. Over the last 30 years, Carol and Frank's support has made a significant difference in the lives of so many young people in California. Through CDF's priorities and programs, from child poverty to freedom schools, and education through CDF's Beat the Odds program. Frank was especially proud of the extraordinary work that CDF California has led to reduce the number of youth that have been impacted by the probation and foster care systems. After Frank passed away in 2019, as a tribute, the CDF California State Office created the Frank Biondi Memorial Scholarship. Frank believed that education is a gift that lasts a lifetime. This scholarship will be awarded annually to a Los Angeles-based student who embodies Frank's drive, intellect, generosity, and community citizenship. The first recipient of this scholarship will be awarded in 2022 when we can gather again in person. On behalf of Carol and her daughters Jane and Anne, a heartfelt thank you goes out to those of you who have generously donated this year.
For such a beautiful tribute to Mr. Biondi, and thank you to the Biondi family for being such a beacon of light for the children in California. We ask you to consider making an additional donation tonight to help us sustain the Frank Biondi Scholarship Fund and the work of CDF in California. No donation is too small. To make a donation, see below the screen for options. My name is Zaira Soto, and I serve as the Deputy Executive Director for the Children's Defense Fund in California. CDF has been in my life since 1998. It's been a home. When they awarded me the BTO Scholarship Program, I was an impressionable 18-year-old, a senior at Garfield High School. I was excited about going to college, but also had great doubt about leaving my family. CDF helped me work through that doubt then, and now is the platform through which I serve my community and support other children and youth as they work through their own doubts and make their way through life. I am forever grateful to CDF for the opportunity to serve. And now I'd like to ask my friend Giovanni to join me on screen.
Good evening. My name is Giovanni Soto, and I'm very happy to be here today, particularly because I'm a member of the BTO class of 2011. I've had the privilege of spending a couple summers working in the CDF Freedom Schools program. And tonight, I have the honor to be here with you. Over the last 30 years, more than 200 of us young people have been supported by CDF California. And while we are not together in person tonight, I know that there are many other alumni here virtually. I am so proud of the many ways, big and small, in which we have responded to Mrs. Edelman's call to serve and to stand up for children in our careers and personal lives.
And everyone here tonight has also responded to this call. Over the years, you've been on this mission with us. You've donated, you've advocated with us, served on our board, volunteered your time to recruit new scholars, to lead workshops, and to mentor our youth. And guess what, Gio? Speaking of responding to the call, we have individuals who've already donated tonight. Thank you, Eva Michelle, Kay and Doug, Katie and Mark, Michael, Chris, Brixton, William. Thank you so much.
Truly, thank you. For many of us, you have opened up doors to opportunities that have helped shape our careers. When we talk about Beat the Odds, providing opportunities, we really mean it. I currently work in physical production at Netflix and hope to continue my career in film. Many of my personal accomplishments have been made possible in large part because of CDF's committed supporters like Katie McGrath, Ruth Ann Huvane, and Michelle Kidley. Their continued guidance, support, and mentorship gave me the courage and tools to pursue my dreams. So I remind you, your support has the power to open up new opportunities and drastically impact the course of so many young lives.
Thank you so much, Gio. And again, as we continue to connect, additional donations have come in, and I want to say thank you to Jennifer. Thank you, Chike. We see you, we hear you. And Jennifer, thank you so much. Now, tonight, you heard from Shamika about the progress that the CDF California has led to improve the lives of children. And it is imperative that we keep the course as we still have a long way to go to fulfill our mission. Having grown up in extreme poverty, myself, it breaks my heart that still today in 2021, 1 in 5 children in California live in poverty, with Black, Brown, and Indigenous children being 3.2 times more likely compared to white children. And that in the last 12 months, more than 3 in 5 California families with young children have run out of food.
Receiving a college education was one of the most impactful events in my life. It opened doors and gave me options. It put me in control of my future and has been a source of stability for me and my family. Yet, we know that prior to COVID-19, only 21% of Black students and 20% of economically disadvantaged students met or exceeded the math standards for the grade level. It is clear that far too many children still do not have the opportunities that Sada and I were afforded through CDF. We have much work to do. Please join us so that we can respond to the urgency of the moment, and if you can, give a little more tonight.
And speaking of giving a little bit more, I want to share with you all that 2 of our board members have made a commitment to make an additional donation tonight. In addition, I want to also thank our long-term supporters, Katie and JJ McGrath, for the many years of support in the many ways that they have shown up for us. So thank you so much. I want to also thank William Gould and Maggie for their support. Tonight, we have raised over $10,000 already just since we have been together tonight. And so now I want to say thank you, and I want to hand it over. We'd like to hear from our president and CEO, Reverend Dr. Starsky Wilson.
Hello, my name is Starsky Wilson, and I'm pleased to serve as President and Chief Executive Officer of the Children's Defense Fund. I bring you greetings on behalf of the board, the staff, volunteers, servant leaders, and partners all across the country who are mobilizing, who are advocating, and who are acting to assure a positive and powerful future for America's children. I'm particularly pleased today to stand in support and solidarity with the team in California, led with head and heart by Shamika Gaskins. All throughout the year, they are engaging to shift the circumstances for children and youth in California, making sure that they grow up in an equitable and just community and state. And for that, we all owe them a debt of gratitude. I also come with thanks for those of you who have been doing this work alongside them, mobilizing, activating, and advocating in school districts and in Sacramento to make sure that we keep children in environments that are good for their thriving, not for their socialization for carceral systems in America. I'm grateful for those of you who have been supporters of Beat the Odds and the Children's Defense Fund there in California for scores of years. Indeed, it has been the case that Beat the Odds has been advancing since I was 14 years old. I won't tell you how old I am now, but I will say that I'm gratefully appreciative for the vision of Marian Wright Edelman and leaders of the Children's Defense Fund, who decided to inspire and to encourage and to lift up young people who, like me, wrestled with some of the circumstances of family challenge, of communal trauma that keep them from advancing and being well. I locate these beginnings very intentionally in my own story when I was 14, because that's when I was heading into high school. I had a sense that I was headed toward law school. I went to one of only 2 high schools in the country that had a law library in the school. I knew that I wanted to help people and wanted to transform circumstances in my community. And I thought clearly government and law was the way to do it. Over the years, God had something different to say for my own life. And so it led me to a life of service in faith and philanthropy and advocacy. And indeed, that trajectory was transformed when an 18-year-old boy was killed in my community. What it led me to believe was that even the lessons I was told, even the encouragement I was given about studying hard, deferring gratification, and working really hard to get ahead would not be sufficient if my life could be cut down in the street like my older brother's was, or if the circumstances of education that I got were not sufficient for the next level of education. And so, in as much as I had people gathered around me to encourage me and push me on, in as much as I had a praying grandmother, a loving mother, and a defined community to help to make me better, what I needed was those same people changing the circumstances around me, advocating alongside elected leaders and community leaders to make sure that my chances were better because they did the work. And so I close with my appreciation and encouragement for these scholars whom we honor today. Those who enter this conversation like I did 30 years ago, needing people to encourage them, needing people to inspire them, needing people to invest in them, celebrating the fact that they were already beating the odds, but also needing each and every one of us to work together, to stand alongside CDF California every single day to change the odds so that our children might be well. Change the odds with our advocacy, change the odds with our influence, change the odds because we are willing to do what it takes to wield power, to uplift those who care about children, and often, sometimes, to make sure those who are not working in their interest don't have the power to make sure that they don't move forward. And so, as I come to this close, I say this: thank you. Thank you for helping us to shift the odds, to change the odds, to transform the circumstances around our children. Because of your work and our work together in the future, we'll be able to make sure that all 74 million children that are given to our charge have the opportunity to flourish and thrive. Thank you. God bless you and God keep you is my prayer.
Hello, my name is Tommy Luis.
My name is Melody Borja Caleb.
I'm Jasmine Diaz.
My name is Natalia Zelaya.
Hi everyone, my name is Andy Gonzalez.
I'm Jayla Gordon.
And I'm Jaylon Gordon.
My name is Isaiah Wise.
And I am a junior at the School for the Visual Arts and Humanities.
And I'm a sophomore at Cash Prep in South Central LA.
I am a 16-year-old 11th grader currently attending Pasadena High School.
We're fraternal twins who attend Catch Prep in South Central Los Angeles as high school juniors.
And I'm part of the BTO program, class of 2023.
And I'm a sophomore at Catch Prep Charter High School in South Central Los Angeles.
One of my greatest struggles was learning English. I couldn't speak any other language other than Spanish, so that was really tough for me.
In my life, I have faced several struggles, such as domestic violence done against me, my sister, and my mom by my dad.
I live in a part of Los Angeles known as the Jungles, and sometimes that's what it felt like for me growing up, especially once I got taken away from my parents in middle school.
One of my greatest struggles I have faced and currently facing in my life is the transition from my country.
At a young age, my parents divorced and slowly developed alcoholic tendencies. Last year, unfortunately, I lost both of them 4 months and 3 days apart.
You know, growing up in South Central Los Angeles has taught me a lot, but I've learned even more from being able to overcome some mental health challenges in my family while growing up.
We've come a long way since being homeless in middle school and literally living in a tent on the streets for 2 years.
To get through, I try and look at everything on the bright side. I have hope that tomorrow will be an even better day, because it's yet another opportunity to better myself.
Something I have accomplished that I am most proud of is that I have devoted and dedicated myself into helping those in need.
I am most happy with my ability to get through it all and pop back despite the hardships that I have faced.
One of my biggest hopes for the future is the prosperity of my business. I believe I can make it happen.
My sister and I are looking forward to attending a UC when we graduate and majoring in psychology and sociology. We want to work as a therapist and social worker in communities of color and support kids who may be going through difficult times.
After I graduate with a degree in nursing from USC, I hope to be able to work in an NICU unit at a hospital providing care for others and saving lives. The more we can do to improve community health, the better.
The Children's Defense Fund has been very important to me because they care about me.
We have built a family together. It's supportive and we are good to one another.
They are always working to help support me despite the obstacles that I have faced.
For me, the Children's Defense Fund recognition I've received has by far been one of the biggest moments of my life.
The Children's Defense Fund has given me this kind of confidence and self-worth I've never really thought was possible given all that I've gone through.
Being recognized by CDF helped us walk a little taller in school and not feel so marginalized when we share our story.
And with the scholarship I've received, I've been given an economic and academic opportunity that doesn't really happen for many students like me.
Something I'd like to say to CDF California would be simply thank you.
So thank you so much, and please keep continuing to support this program because this is an amazing opportunity.
Thank you, Children's Defense Fund. You've changed the course of our lives, and in turn, we hope we can pay it forward and change the lives of other young people and inspire them to do what we did.
Words can never really express my full gratitude.
I am so grateful to CDFCA for being here, and if it weren't for them, I would not be the person I am today.
Okay, that's our show. From everyone on the Children Defense Fund California and the Los Angeles Beat the Odds team, thank you and good night. And next year, let's do this in person. And now, just so that everything seems like it does every year, let's enjoy the sound of all of you getting up from the table and rushing to go get your cars, murmuring the entire time.